Hi guys, in this video we're going to look at what to do if we find an unconscious casualty in a position that's maybe different to what you've been taught on first aid courses. So if you've been on a first aid course, they always teach you what to do if you find someone who is lying flat on their back, in a coffin-like position. But unfortunately in real life, people don't just fall backwards and land in a nice big space in the middle of the floor. They might be slumped over the sofa, they might be on a toilet, they might be face down, falling down the stairs and face down. So people collapse in lots of different ways. And what you don't realise is actually you do get taught this on first aid courses. You get taught the theoretical elements of it. But now what's going to be important is to put this into practice. So watch this video all the way to the end so you don't miss out on anything, just in case you need to know these skills for an emergency that might happen in our homes, in our family lives, and also in our workplaces as well. So let's go back over what happened on previous videos. We did the whole primary survey, secondary survey, recovery position. So let's go back through all that and let's go from the beginning. So you remember, you always get taught that your safety comes first. Preserve your life. Your life is just as important. So we check the area for danger. We then check for response, if it's safe to approach, by talking to them. We try and give them a bit of pressure on their shoulders to see if they wake up. No response, so we open the airway. And by opening the airway, what you're doing is moving the tongue out of the way, and you're looking and you're listening and feeling for normal breaths, which on an adult casualty is around about 2 to 4 times in 10 seconds. If they are breathing normally, great news, then we do our secondary survey to check for any injuries this person might have. So we do a head to toe check, and if they're not injured, we move them into the recovery position. And the recovery position maintains an open airway for them, and it stops them from choking on any vomit because they're on their side. Nice and simple. Okay, let's make it a little bit harder for you then. What would you do if you find they've got an injury? If you find they've got 2 broken legs, you can't possibly move them into the recovery position. What do you do then? I pause in the hope that you're going to reply to me. You can write a comment down below, so don't forget to do that. So if you can't move them because A, you've forgotten how to do it, or they've got an injury, then all you need to do is maintain an airway. So hold the airway open, because that is the recovery position. And if they start to be sick, well, all you need to do is tip them on their side to keep that airway protected. Okay, let's make it harder again. What happens then if you find them face down the bottom of the stairs? We do exactly the same, don't we? We still do our primary survey, our DRAB. We check the area for danger. We check for response by talking to them. We give them a bit of pressure on their shoulders to see if they wake up. Now in this case, if they're at the bottom of some stairs, you don't particularly want to move them in case they've got a spinal injury. So we can't open the airway in the position they're in, but we can still check their breathing by looking at their back rising and falling. By maybe putting our hands underneath their mouth and nose, see if we can feel them breathing, getting close to them so we can see if they're breathing. If they are breathing, we don't need to move them. They can just stay there and we can make a phone call to the emergency services. Okay, let's do harder again. What happens then if they're face down and they're not breathing? What are we going to do then? Well, quite simply, you still do your danger response airway breathing. This time we found out they are not breathing. Well, we're going to have to turn them over, aren't we? Because if they're not breathing, then we might need to do CPR. So in order to turn them over, we kind of make them into Superman. Because it's quite hard to turn somebody over that's got their arms down by the side. It's a bit like pulling somebody over a speed hump. So what we need to do is put the arm up above in the air, like they're flying through the sky like Superman. Being careful though that the arm goes around and doesn't go up and over and we dislocate the shoulder. When the arm is above, then we just lean over and grab a shoulder and hip, pull the solid bits of the body, pull them towards you, just catch your head so it doesn't bang on the floor. And then when they're on the back, that's when we can open their airway, and that's when we can look, listen and feel for breathing. And if they are breathing, then you can just maintain an open airway. Now I say you can just maintain an open airway. That's great if you can stay with that casualty. But if you do have to leave that casualty, let's say to go and open the door for the emergency medical services, then you're going to have to remember the recovery position. So you need to remember how to get them in that recovery position. Okay, so now we've done face down, suspected spinal, but they are breathing, so we'll leave them. We've done face down, we don't think they're breathing, we can't see them breathing, so we're going to have to turn them over to check they're breathing properly. What about then, sitting on a sofa or on a toilet? What are we going to do then? Guess what? Exactly the same thing. We come in, we check the area for danger. We check for response by talking to them, give them a bit of pressure on the shoulders. We open the airway in the position they're sitting in. We don't need to get them to the floor yet. And then we look, listen and feel for normal breathing. If they are breathing, well, we can just keep the head back and maintain that open airway. If they're not breathing, well, we need to be shouting for help quickly because now we need someone to help us get them to the floor. And trust me, it's not easy getting someone unconscious to the floor by yourself safely. So that's what we do if we find somebody in a position that maybe is not taught on a first aid course. We'll not all have the luxury of having loads of space around a casualty. They might be on the toilet, they might be on the bed, they might be on the sofa. You need to adapt the skills you've learnt now or on a first aid course, and would always encourage you to do a first aid course, and to adapt these skills to the environment that you have. Just always remember, breathing comes first. You need to assess the person's breathing. If they are breathing, maintain an airway. If they're not breathing, you need to do CPR. And I'll leave links to videos down in the description below of how to do CPR, especially with COVID around as well at the moment. Probably for a bit longer as well, in the links below, as well as some e-learning courses, and there's some free e-learning courses that you can sign up for, which will get you a certificate at the end as well. So thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos. We post once a week on here, and we love you to comment below as well. Take care, guys. Thank you for listening.